Judge gives Trump another fine for expressing his opinion because this is America. We can't have that sort of thing. He even was threatened with jail time. We'll give you all the details on it. Plus, Biden donors are actually funding all of the pro-terrorist, anti-Israel encampments that are against the law on our college campuses. We'll give you all those details. And Maxine Waters is very worried about a militia coming after her and her friends. But who should you really be worried about in terms of trained combat forces in America? And did Joe Biden poop his pants? Yeah, I think he did. We'll get into all those messy details coming up next. I'm Larry O'Connor. You can call me Larry. Thank you for watching us on our live stream at Rumble, and please engage in those comments. We love having the live comments during the live stream, and then afterwards, if you're watching the video after the fact, add those comments to it because we like to see what you think about the content as well as our show itself. And if you're watching any of these clips after the fact, please share them with your friends on Facebook or social media or even Reddit. Reddit's still a thing, isn't it? Sure it is. Yeah, share it on Reddit. Why not? Oh, and your MySpace. I think it's going to make a comeback. I'm holding out. I think it will. Did you have a MySpace? I did. It was Larry OC was the name of it. I don't think I posted much there, though. A little before my time. A little bit. Anyway, let's get right to it. Here's the PJ Media write-up today from the Town Hall Media Empire. Yeah, Judge Merchant fines Trump again, but this time threatened him with jail time. Why? Well, because he used his First Amendment rights and actually spoke the truth. No. Literally, he is being fined for speaking the truth, or I guess in this case, for asking a question based on the truth. The date was April 22nd, and as he emerged from the courthouse at 12:48 Eastern time, Donald Trump said this.
Now, when are they going to look at Pomerantz or what Pomerantz did? Because that's bad stuff. And when are they going to look at all the lies that Cohen did in the last trial? He got caught lying in the last trial. So he got caught lying, pure lying. And when are they going to look at that? Now,
all right, so that was about Michael Cohen, who is the star witness for the prosecution, and he's asking the question, when are they going to look at the lies he told in the last trial? He got caught pure lying. And, well, that's just an objective truth. It's a fact. It's like saying the sky is blue or the planet is round, for those of you who still believe the planet is round. That's what he's doing there, because it is a fact that Michael Cohen got caught lying in his last trial. In fact, Michael Cohen served jail time for committing perjury. But Donald Trump's not allowed to say that. Of course, Michael Cohen can go on TikTok and say whatever he wants to about Donald Trump. Michael Cohen is actually making money, it's alleged, by being a star TikTok influencer right now because everybody loves him because he's going to get the bad orange man. And so he can do whatever he wants. He can say whatever he wants. But the accused, the man who the state is using all of its resources and all of its money to try to imprison, he is not allowed to say anything to defend himself, even when it's 100% absolute truth, as you just saw. And even worse, if he continues to go out and say the truth and speak his opinion based on fact, the judge threatened to throw him in jail. The former president of the United States and the man who is now the presumptive nominee for president against Joe Biden, a Democrat who shares a political party with the prosecutor, with all of the attorneys in the case, and with the judge himself, and whose daughter is out raising millions and millions of dollars for Democrats for the political process, while her father sits on the case threatening to put the Republican candidate in jail. And this is in the United States of America. I mean, say what you will about Trump. I understand that Donald Trump inspires a lot of emotions from a lot of people. Even those who are going to vote for him are like, gosh, he wouldn't do that. I wish he wouldn't do that. I wish he wouldn't say that. I wish he wouldn't tweet that. That's fine. Okay, we can't all be Mitt Romney. But even the most diehard Trump hater has to pause for a moment and wonder about what's going on in the United States of America when the president of the United States shares a political party with the prosecutor and attorneys who are using the power of state in America's largest and wealthiest city, Manhattan, New York City, to prosecute the current Republican nominee for president. And the judge and his daughter gets wealthy on raising money for Democrats, and the judge is using his power, not through a jury trial, his own singular executive power as judge, to fine and threaten the president of the United States, the candidate, with imprisonment for speaking his mind, for utilizing his First Amendment rights. Because even when you're, facing criminal charges, you still have rights. You still have First Amendment rights, certainly. So Donald Trump, after this latest fine, he spoke his mind again, but I'm guessing it was a little more carefully.
I have a gag order as to that first question. As you know, they've taken away my constitutional rights, so I'm not allowed to answer that question. This has never happened in this country before. It's a ridiculous thing. It's a ridiculous case. I did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong. Take a look at Greg Jarrett this morning. He went on. Take a look at Andrew McCarthy or Jonathan Turley or Mark Levin. It's like they say there's no case here. And yet the judges gagged me, and I'm not allowed to talk about, I guess, his total conflict. The judge is totally conflicted, and you ought to take a look at it. And I'm not supposed to be talking about it, but I am allowed to say that the judge has a conflict that like nobody's ever had before. You ought to take a look at it. He's taken away my constitutional right to speak. I was in Miami this weekend, and reporters are asking me questions, the same questions like you're asking me. And I have to say, I have a gag order. I can't speak about it.
Yeah, by the way, that's exactly why the reporters are asking him those questions, because they want to be the ones who got him. Yeah, he answered my question, and that's what got him in jail. That's what's going on here, by the way, with a lot of these reporters. And hopefully, thankfully, so far, Trump is being disciplined on that and not taking the bait. He is allowed to say certain parameters, and clearly the judges have given him certain parameters on what he can say and what he shouldn't say. But see, again, this is all part of it as well. They want him to be sequestered. The Democrats, they don't want him out there. They don't want him speaking his mind. They don't want him saying anything. They don't even want him to campaign. That's the whole reason for this trial. It sort of levels the playing field, considering his opponent, the president of the United States, is mentally and physically incapable of campaigning. So that's part of the problem here. But all these reporters shouting questions at him, they want to get him in trouble. They want to be the ones who finally nailed him and got him behind bars. You heard Donald Trump just say, look at Jonathan Turley, look at Andrew McCarthy. Well, okay, let's do that. Here was Jonathan Turley about a week ago.
I agree with that. You can have a gag order that limits what you can say about aspects of the trial, but to have it extend to someone like Michael Cohen is just facially ridiculous. I mean, the thing is, you've got Cohen going on the air every night, not just opposing the president in this trial, but opposing him in the campaign. According to this order, even after he testifies, the president cannot respond to him. So all these networks constantly have him on, and somehow he's in this bubble. He cannot be addressed by the candidate for the presidency. So that's the type of thing where I'm critical of this judge, the failure to recognize the inequity in that arrangement.
Yeah, incredibly inequitable. By the way, if you go over to MSNBC, you'll get a legal analyst who will say that Trump is being treated with kid gloves, that he's getting rights and special privileges that no other person on the planet would get. It's like bizarro world over there. This is the problem with legal analysis, is that even legal analysis has been turned into political analysis with a law degree, right? But that's Jonathan Turley just on the gag order. He also over the weekend said, I've been watching this trial now for, what is it, day 6, day 7. One thing that the prosecutors haven't brought up that they might want to think about bringing up, and that is what the actual crime is. The whole show me the man, I'll find you the crime thing from the Stalin era. That's what we're watching right now. But these prosecutors haven't even gone so far as to find a crime. Let's go back to the president earlier today, as he had more to say.
Never happened before, ever. Number one. Number two, it's a fake trial. They have no case. And it's been absolutely proven now. They have no case whatsoever. This is Alvin Bragg doing it for political reasons for Biden. This is a Biden trial. He's a crooked president. Now, it just came out, Columbia just canceled their commencement. Axios. Columbia just canceled their commencement. That shouldn't happen.
This is when he goes through the daily news. And actually, I think we've got that clip a little later in the program, too, as he talks about the protests and the financing for those protests. So we'll hold that clip for a little bit later as well. Meanwhile, I just want to address one other thing that you may hear. I've mentioned it before, but I want to reiterate it. As you watch news coverage of this trial, if they say that Trump is, if they're, oh, let's give you the latest on Trump's hush money trial in New York, you know that you're looking at a biased journalist, either lazy or just an outright political hack liar. All right. Hush money trial, hush money trial. Associated Press is now using this. So other news outlets, they all follow the Associated Press's so-called style book. And if the Associated Press uses the term hush money, then that gives cover to journalists all over the place, broadcast journalists. Why are you calling it a hush money trial? Well, because the AP does it. It's this weird thing in journalism. The AP style book, it has all of this power, all of this weight. I see even Fox News does it. Although I want to tell you, this week, just this morning, I noticed that they're not using hush money anymore. They're calling this trial either New York versus Donald Trump, or if you really want to be factual about it, you can call this a falsifying financial records trial. That's what it is. I actually engaged in a debate with a journalist about this. It wasn't on social media and it wasn't on the record. So I'm not going to say the journalist's name, but I confronted them in person. And I said, why do you keep calling this a hush money trial? And he said, oh, well, that's just, what we call it. And I said, no, but it's not a hush money trial. You know that this trial is not a trial for illegally paying hush money, right? Well, yeah, technically. I said, oh, no, not technically. It's just the truth. There's no technical truths here or not. There was a payment made to an actress who goes by the name of Stormy Daniels. The payment went along with a non-disclosure act. You can call that hush money if you'd like, but have you ever taken a payment for a non-disclosure act, or have you ever had a non-disclosure agreement built into your contract in exchange for your salary? Because if that's the case, you took hush money, right? If a non-disclosure agreement is part of your contract with the network you work for, and that contract, you're signing it, allows you to get paid your salary, then you got hush money. Oh, well, I guess when you put it that way, no, that's the fact. So it's not hush money, it's payments for a non-disclosure agreement. Now, can you show me in the indictment what part of the indictment, the criminal charges against Donald Trump, there's 34 of them, so I'm sure you can find it, which one of the charges shows that payment for the non-disclosure agreement is illegal? What crime was broken by paying the money with the non-disclosure agreement? Short answer, there are no crimes. There is nothing illegal about the payment, what they're calling hush money. So to call this a hush money trial is factually inaccurate. The charges, as bogus as they are, is that he falsified his financial records by calling the payment for the non-disclosure agreement legal fees. Although technically it was a legal fee because he paid his lawyer a lump sum of money, and out of that money, his lawyer paid the non-disclosure agreement fee, you see. So it's not falsifying records, but Alvin Bragg, the DA here, you don't hear this explanation anywhere on cable news, do you? But I'm giving it to you because they are not in the business of telling you the truth or giving you facts or making you smarter. They're in the business of propaganda. Alvin Bragg has now twisted this misdemeanor about falsifying bank records. I mean, falsifying a financial record, why is that 34 counts of felony facing 20 years in jail? It's not. But Alvin Bragg has now said that the reason he falsified those records was to commit campaign fraud so that it wouldn't show up in the campaign financials that it was hush money or a non-disclosure agreement. So that rises it up to the level of felony. Here's the problem. Campaign finance laws are not the jurisdiction of the Manhattan District Attorney. So even if that ridiculous and completely, I'm tripped out on mushrooms and acid to connect those dots and make that allegation that this is campaign finance violation, even if you were to go down that road, it's not the DA in Manhattan's job to enforce those laws. It's the Justice Department under the federal government's responsibility. And they already looked at it and said there's no crime there. So by that entire explanation to figure out what's being charged here, if you really want to be accurate, you would call this a falsifying financial records case, not a hush money case. And this media person that I spoke to about it, after going through all of this, and they conceded, well, yeah, I mean, I guess the accurate way to do it would not be to call it hush money, but it's just shorthand. We just use it as shorthand. And I said, well, hush money trial, I mean, that's 3 syllables. How about just murder trial? That's just as short. Just call it murder. It's a murder trial. Here's the latest on Trump's murder trial. And he's like, well, that's stupid. He's not being charged with murder. I say he's also not being charged with hush money. And the person finally conceded. He said, you know, you're right. We shouldn't call it a hush money trial, which they shouldn't, but they will. They will, because they want to associate hush money porn star with Donald Trump. And that's really what this is about. So all the legal analysts who look at this and pore over it and dissect it from a legal perspective, really it doesn't matter, because it's not really about the law. It's about politics. This is a political operation to serve the Democratic Party and their candidate, Joe Biden. That's what it is. So back to Andy McCarthy. Donald Trump said, look at Jonathan Turley. Look at Andy McCarthy. Here's Andy McCarthy this morning.
We're looking at how the emotion of the witness may sway the jury one way or the other, how like one after another of these people who come in say uncomplimentary things about Cohen. The prosecutors have already basically told the jury that Cohen's a liar and he's not a very reputable person, and they think they can win the case on the documents. The most important thing here is the judge's impact on the jury, and that's what I'm more concerned about than the witnesses. I mean, the fact of the matter is these non-disclosure agreements are completely legal, and Bragg has no legal authority to turn them into campaign finance violations, which they're not. But the judge is letting him do it. So unlike, you know, our viewers here who get me or Kerry Kupek or John Turley or someone to come on every hour and explain how bad this is, what the jury's getting is what the judge is letting the prosecutors get away with. And I'm more worried about what the jury thinks than, you know, just the emotional sways of the trial from witness to witness.
And once again, if Donald Trump said all of that, he'd be put in jail. If Donald Trump said everything I just said about this trial and about the charges, he'd be put in jail. He's not allowed to use his First Amendment right to defend himself in the court of public opinion when he is a public figure, a politician, a man running for president. Everything about this is just a grotesque and complete warped idea of criminal justice in this country. It's been politicized beyond repair, I fear, when it's being used against a presidential candidate. We don't do this. America does not do this. But Donald Trump has so broken the Democrats. They are so terrified that they will go to this length. Oh, and one other thing that Donald Trump can't tell you about that I think deserves some attention. Matthew Colangelo, we've talked about this guy before. This is a guy who was the deputy U.S. attorney. He was the number 3 man at the Justice Department. Pretty good job, man. That is high profile. That is prestigious. That's a major deal. He quit that job. That's what he was working for Merrick Garland and Joe Biden. He was a political appointee. So he was brought in during the Biden administration, right? And he quit that job. He quit that job to go work as a low-level prosecutor in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Why would he do that? Well, because he became the lead prosecutor on the Donald Trump case. He left Merrick Garland's Justice Department and took all of his knowledge and connections and power and gravitas and connections to the White House, and he brought all of that to the Manhattan DA's office. And within months, suddenly, there was an indictment of Donald Trump. Oh, but there's nothing political about this. It's just the law, right? So that's Matthew Colangelo. According to Forbes, the prosecutor delivers opening arguments in the Trump hush money trial, right? And they have a little profile of him. Who else is Matthew Colangelo? Well, he received corporate money from the DNC, from the Democratic National Committee. These are FEC receipts showing that he is on the payroll or has been on the payroll of the Democratic National Committee. Mike Berg, who is a communications director for the National Republican Senate Committee, thinks this should probably be a bigger story than it is, and he's right. The lead prosecutor prosecuting Donald Trump, a former president and current presidential candidate, where no one who has those titles has ever faced criminal charges before. The lead prosecutor in the case left a Biden-appointed job in the Justice Department to come and work for the Manhattan DA, which is a pay downgrade and a title downgrade and an influence downgrade. It is a demotion. If you were fired from the Justice Department, you'd be lucky to get a job at the Manhattan DA's office. He voluntarily left. Or he was told to leave so he could take up this case. So Joe Biden was, had enough distance from the whole operation. The man who left the Justice Department to go work for the Manhattan District Attorneys to prosecute the case against Donald Trump, the current candidate for president, something that's never been done in the history of our country, was literally on the payroll of the Democratic National Committee. But, this is just about law and order. It's just about justice. No one is above the law, remember? That's what this is really about. And add to that, if Donald Trump just told you anything that I just told you, which is all documented fact, he'd be put in jail. That's how terrified they are of you, not of Trump. They're terrified of you for daring to vote for him. Financial experts thought we were in the clear earlier this year. They figured the worst was behind us. All that inflation, all those high interest rates, rear view mirror, baby. 2020, 24, man, we are plowing ahead and we're going to be fine. Inflation comes down, interest rates come down. The worst is over. Well, you know how this story ends because you're living in it right now. Inflation has not come down. In fact, it went up higher than expected at the beginning part of this year. Those interest rates have been locked in. This isn't going away. We are $34 trillion in debt in this country, and we keep printing money. That pushes prices higher and devalues the dollar that much more. You can either bury your head in the sand or you can do something about it. Diversify a portion of your savings into gold with Birch Gold Group. Gold is your hedge against inflation. Birch Gold makes it easy to own. They'll help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold, and you don't pay a penny out of pocket. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and thousands of satisfied customers, you can trust Birch Gold too. So just text Larry to 989898 and you'll get a free info kit on gold. And then talk to a precious metals specialist on how to protect your savings from inflation with gold. That's Birch Gold Group. Text Larry, Larry, to 989898. Do it now. Why not? Just do it now. All right, the protests across college campuses continue in certain states. In other states where they have Republican governors, while they've been cleared out, all except for California. Shocking, isn't it, that at UCLA they got cleared out? I wonder if Gavin Newsom actually understands the writing on the wall. Now, that wasn't the LAPD that cleared off the UCLA campus. No. That was the California Highway Patrol. That's a state police force under the control of the governor. You think Gavin Newsom gets it? You think Gavin Newsom's running for president? Everyone else doesn't get it, though. They love the protest. George Washington University right in D.C. They're going nuts, man. Have you noticed how organized they are? Have you noticed how well-financed they are? How coordinated they are? Of course you have. We've been talking about it and watching it for weeks now. Of course they're well-financed and coordinated across state lines. They all have the same tents. They all have the same pre-printed signs. They all have the same tactics. It's completely coordinated. But Politico just woke up from a haze, had an article this weekend that says, hey, these protests seem coordinated. And then they started looking into, who paid for those signs and who's funding some of the training and some of the coordination. And, well, looky there. All donors to Joe Biden's political campaign. They're also donating to the organizations funding the protests.
President Joe Biden has been dogged for months by pro-Palestinian protesters calling him Genocide Joe. But some of the groups behind the demonstrations receive financial backing from philanthropists pushing hard for his reelection. The donors include some of the biggest names in Democratic circles: Gates, Soros, Rockefeller, and Pritzker, according to a Politico analyst. And you look at the numbers, $1 Biden campaign donors funding some of these anti-Israel college protest groups. You got George Soros, $300K in December, $350K in November, $250K in September. Susan Pritzker, $3,300 in October. Nicholas Pritzker, $3,300 in November, and David Rockefeller Jr. in September, $10,000. And that is as some Democrats say they are eager to vote in favor of a House bill that adopts the Holocaust Remembrance Alliance's definition of anti-Semitism as law.
All right. So that's the story as reported this morning by Peter Doocy on Fox and Friends. Take a look at that Politico headline again. It's so precious. I love it. Pro-Palestinian protesters are backed by a surprising source. Biden's biggest donors. Literally no one is surprised by that, dude. I mean, literally no one. Also, I just love doing this because I think some of the reason why you come here is you like sort of granular media analysis. That headline, that's typical Washington, D.C. headline, right? Break it down for a second. Pro-Palestinian protesters. Stop right there. That's editorializing. Why are you calling them pro-Palestinian protesters? Couldn't you also be just as accurate to say anti-Israel protesters? Of course, they are anti-Israel by every objective definition. I could argue that they're more anti-Israel than they are pro-Palestine because the tactics they're supporting are terrorist tactics, Hamas tactics. And my argument is that Hamas has been worse to the actual Palestinian people than anyone else. If you support Hamas, you're actually supporting oppression against the Palestinian people. But you know what? Let's stipulate that it's a wash. Let's stipulate that you could either say these protests are pro-Palestine, or you can be equally factually accurate to call them anti-Israel, because they are, by any objective measure, anti-Israel, right? So why did you choose pro-Palestine instead of anti-Israel? You know why. But that's an editorial choice, and you need to see it when you see it, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. They make little editorial choices all day long. Do they ever call those of us who are defending the unborn pro-life? No, they always call us anti-abortion or anti-choice. Anti-choice. Anti-abortion would be accurate if you called the pro side pro-abortion, right? This is what they do. So they call us anti-choice. No, I want people to have choice. Go ahead. Just don't choose that. And, you know, protect innocent people from being murdered. Okay, so the headline, pro-Palestinian protesters. Already you're editorializing. But then, backed by a surprising source. Surprising to whom? Why is the modifier in there? The same headline would be a lot more accurate if it was anti-Israel protesters are backed by Biden's biggest donors. That's it. Leave the pro-Palestine out of it. Leave the surprising source out of it. It's not surprising. Of course, that's who these people are. It's also not surprising because, well, we read the Washington Examiner and the great investigative work of Gabe Kaminsky. We've had Gabe Kaminsky on this show before. He's one of the great young investigative reporters in Washington, D.C. He breaks a lot of stories, including this one, Politico. Politico's investigative reporters have uncovered this in May. November of 2023, Gabe Kaminsky, anti-Israel protests fueled by terror-tied dark money groups, national security issue. Hamas-friendly protests bankrolled by Democratic dark money juggernaut Tides Foundation. There, Gabe did the hard work for you on December 1st. Democratic dark money giant behind anti-Israel protest has scored $81 million in taxpayer dollars. But no, Politico has just discovered America. And they've realized 6 months after Gabe Kaminsky did the original journalisming that giant Democrat groups are funding the Hamas protests. Guy Benson wrote it up for us over at Town Hall. And there's your picture of George Soros, but you're a hater if you mention the fact that George Soros accurately is funding these Nazi groups. As Guy points out, the Washington Examiner reported it late last year that these protests were all backed by these left-wing groups, right? But see, the repercussions of these protests, the repercussions are actually hurting people in a tangible way, not just because of the anti-Semitic slurs, not just because of the vandalism and trashing of a beautiful American campuses, and not because it's warping young people who don't know any better, honestly, A lot of these college students are the dumbest people that you're ever going to meet. And for the last 10 years, they've been told in public school, at your public high school or public junior high school, that protesting against the man is the right thing to do. How many of these kids saw their own teachers do a teacher walkout of their school during on the day that Trump was inaugurated, right? That was a big thing in 2016. See, these kids who are graduating college right now, 8 years ago, they were in 8th grade. Maybe they were freshmen in high school. And when Donald Trump was inaugurated, all their teachers put on their little pink hats and marched out of the classroom and staged a protest march around the playground of their school. This is what they've been taught for the last 10 years of their life, that it's righteous to protest. So they're just falling in line. In fact, I bet a lot of them at these schools, they had to put it on their college application what kind of political activism they've been involved in. This is who they are. They don't know any better. They literally don't know any better. But now, these protests that are so destructive and so illegal, funded by Democrat donors, the same people who are funding Joe Biden's campaign, all of these things are hurting these children even more because these kids, the COVID generation, they didn't go to a high school graduation. It was 2020. Everything was shut down because of Anthony Fauci and Democrats like Gavin Newsom, Andrew Cuomo, and Joe Biden. And number two, now they're not going to be able to go to this graduation. And it's all Democrats' fault.
Has officially canceled their university-wide commencement ceremony after weeks of anti-Israel protests. We've been covering it here. New York Mayor Eric Adams previously said colleges should proceed as normal. He said he would provide the security necessary. He went on to say that these institutions should decide to graduate their students and celebrate a beautiful experience with their families. We'll make sure it's done in a peaceful manner. I guess Columbia didn't believe him. They have decided to cancel.
Well, Columbia may have believed him, but see, this doesn't have to do anything to do with the safety of the parents or the safety of students. They don't want the optics. See, Columbia has created this whole situation, and now they don't want the camera images of these pro-terrorist dirtbags ruining commencement day exercises. Also, by the way, they want to punish people. Yeah, that's right. You don't have a graduation this year, and it's Bibi Netanyahu's fault. You don't have a graduation this year, and we're blaming Israel. We're blaming the Jews. That's what side they're on in this argument. Which brings us back to Donald Trump this morning, who started commenting on this. I'm hoping the judge is going to let him do this. Is he allowed to comment on world affairs? Is he allowed to make comments about the protesters, Judge Merchan?
Now, it just came out, Columbia just canceled their commencement. Axios. Columbia just canceled their commencement. That shouldn't happen. And it also came out that the protesters, many of the protesters, are backed by Biden's donors. Okay, are you listening, Israel? I hope you're listening. Now, it just came out.
Yeah, so he's got these here. By the way, I love that our show prep gets printed out for Donald Trump every morning, and he gets to check them all out. I think that's the case. Or he listens to my morning radio program on WMAL in Washington, D.C. But here's the best punchline about all of these left-wing anti-Israel protests that are funded by the Democrats. You see, they're actually hurting Joe Biden. At the same time, they're funneling tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars into both the Biden reelection campaign and these anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, illegal anti-Semitic encampments around the country. These foundations are actually hurting. The foundation's funding of the protest is hurting Joe Biden. As Sarah Arnold wrote up at the tip sheet at Town Hall this weekend, Genocide Joe, his chances are looking bleak, partly because of the very people who are being funded and being affected by this. You see, at George Washington University, they projected Genocide Joe up on the side of the building. We showed you on Thursday, when the "Let's Go Brandon" chant came out. Oh, that was on the Friday show, on the roundtable show. Both the pro-Israel and pro-Hamas side at the University of Alabama Quad all started chanting in unison, "Joe Biden, Joe Biden." It was beautiful because one thing they can agree on is this guy is a disaster. I mean, for different reasons, but a disaster nonetheless. And that's why the tide is turning already. Now, it's May. It's early. The election is 6 months away. But take a look at how ABC News covered one very interesting poll that specifically showed groups that Joe Biden and all Democrats historically have counted on and desperately need to win this November.
And Biden seems to be struggling with key demographic groups that he would need to win and win big if he stands a chance of being reelected.
John, there is significant softness in the support for Joe Biden among core Democrats. In this poll, he's carrying black voters by 61 points. Well, that sounds like a lot, but he carried them by 84 points back in 2020. Latino voters, a very slight Biden edge in this poll, but it was a 21-point advantage in the exit polls back in 2020. And among younger voters under 30, we're actually seeing Trump with a slight edge. That was a big win for Biden last time around. It's particularly stark to see that difference among voters of color. Black voters under age 50, far less likely in this poll to say they're supporting Joe Biden than older black voters.
Take a look at that last number there. Oh, where'd it go? Hold on. Right there. The under 30 vote. Trump is winning voters under 30. He's up 5 points right now. In 2020, Biden won those by 24 points. That's a 30-point swing with young. Honestly, as long as I've been following presidential politics, I cannot remember a time when the under 30 vote went to the Republican of any flavor. Maybe 1984 Ronald Reagan with the Reagan Youth Movement that I was a part of, although I was still too young to vote. Maybe then. I mean, that's extraordinary. That's astounding. And a lot of the connection comes back to young people recognizing the truth of the matter when it comes to Biden's incompetence in foreign affairs and national security with these Hamas protests, or also because they realize that they can't afford to live a normal middle-class life right now, despite the fact that at 30 years old, you should be able to. But in Biden's inflationary Bidenomics America, you can't do it. That's huge. It might be another reason why you end up seeing Kamala Harris get the nomination in the long run. The good news is, though, if you do go to an Ivy League school and you're worried about the fact that you can't graduate,
looking at my notes,
they're worried about the fact that your entire senior year or final year has been disrupted by all of this, look on the bright side. Imagine what a pathetic, sad, embarrassing, arrogant life you would have if you graduated from Harvard Medical School.
in space repetition, give me something to believe in. Pass all my tests, but I just skim the reading. In the food chain, we're the ones that eat you. Harvard Med, ain't no bottom feeder. MD stands for my demeanor. Ask permission before I ever greet you. Does it radiate? Does it come with strain? Scale 1 to 10, can you rate the pain? When I knock the door, you ask who is it? You can check my coat, it'll spell my name.
Yeah, you're messing with some Harvard MDs. Found my best friends for life from this Harvard MD. Giving everything we got for this Harvard MD.
Now from the top, make it drop, come get your Harvard MD. You got your offer, now say yes to this Harvard MD. We're talking doc, that's a Harvard MD. You deserve the spot, you got future Harvard MD.
There's some dogs in this house. There's some dogs in this house. There's some dogs in this house.
I mean, that just might be the cringiest thing that I've ever seen. And that's saying something. Have you all ever met anyone who went to Harvard? You know how they're just insufferable, right? I mean, you cannot get, we used to tease Ben Shapiro around the Breitbart News offices all the time because, at any given moment, he would reference the fact that he went to Harvard Law. And to be fair, that was back when Ben was like 28, 29 years old. So it was a recent memory still. But it's like, anyone who went to Harvard, you know how to know if somebody went to Harvard? Just wait around for about 10 minutes and they'll let you know. This is who they are. But that, what we just had to witness, I mean, if Harvard Medical School is so great, why do they need this hype video to convince people to go there? That's shockingly bad. I'm no hip hop master, but I think I could rap better than that. It's like the bus and truck tour of Hamilton where they cast Kevin Sorbo to rap as Alexander Hamilton. No offense, Kevin, you're a great actor, but let's face it, I don't think hip hop is necessarily in your wheelhouse. It's not one of your triple threats. You know what I'm saying? Also, real fast, I'm supposed to be excited about these medical students who are still wearing COVID masks. Why is it I know more about virology than they do? They went to Harvard Medical School. Look on the bright side. They're on the right side of the Hamas issue. They may be cringy, they may be awful, they may be terrible rappers, they may be completely misguided, but at least they support terrorists. Next time you got to pick a doctor from your HMO, if it says they went to Harvard Medical School, move on. Go elsewhere. I think you'll be happier. Maxine Waters was on MSNBC this weekend, and it was a joy. There's one thing in particular that she is most concerned about right now, and she demands a federal investigation. I'm not making this up. Hear it right from the horse's mouth. Oh, pardon me, Congresswoman, from the Congresswoman's mouth. That didn't mean to come out the way I said it.
Trump saying, if everything's honest, everything's above board, to his point of view, he'll gladly accept the results of the country. But if not,
well, first of all, you can't trust anything that Donald Trump has to say. No matter if he loses, he's going to say that it was fraud. He still has not accepted what happened in the last presidential election. And so we have to be very concerned about a former president of the United States talking about attacking his own country, talking about perhaps a bloodbath, talking about perhaps there's going to be trouble. He said it in so many different ways. We should take him seriously. Mm-hmm. This man does not believe in the Constitution. He wants to be a dictator. This is a dangerous human being. And we have to know what our country is going to do to protect us from him.
All right. So our country needs to be protected from Donald Trump. Now, there's more from Maxine Waters, and I'm going to share it with you because it's really the part that's most insane. But this is the mindset, by the way, and this is why they're able, with abandon, so brazenly to twist criminal law to stop Donald Trump and put it behind bars, because they truly believe we have to do whatever it takes to be protected from this man. Remember, when they say that, what they really mean is to be protected from the people, the voters. See, if he's that horrible, if he's that terrible, you would think they couldn't wait to get to November because he's going to lose, right? This man is the worst. He's a criminal. He's a racist. He's a xenophobe. He's outrageous. He's a felon. He's this. He's that. He's in pocket of Vladimir Putin. If you can't win an election against a guy like that, what the hell, right? But see, they know they're lying. But they keep telling the lie over and over again, because if it were true that Donald Trump was that bad, then he would lose this November. But what their biggest fear is that he will win, and he only wins because you vote for him. So they're afraid of you. They're afraid of you. Can't say it enough. But this whole thing about accepting the election results, that's what this whole conversation started on, right? It was he's only saying that he'll accept the election results under certain conditions. Okay, well, this brings us to Tim Scott yesterday. At the same time that Maxine Waters was doing that, here's how Kristen Welker was grilling Tim Scott about, again, accepting the election results this November.
Not going to make it an issue.
Well, Senator, will you commit to accepting the election results of 2024? Bottom line.
Well, at the end of the day, the 47th president of the United States will be President Donald Trump, and I'm excited to get back to low inflation, low unemployment.
Wait, Senator, yes or no? Yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024 no matter who wins?
That is my statement.
But is it just yes or no? Will you accept the election results of 2024?
I look forward to President Trump being the 47th president. Kristen, you could ask him multiple times.
Senator, just a yes or no answer.
So the American people will make the decision.
But I don't hear you committing
for President Trump. That's clear.
I don't hear you committing to the election result.
This goes on for over a minute and a half, almost 2 minutes of Kristen Welker continuing to follow up and grilling in this way. And he said, listen, Trump's going to win, so it's a moot issue. Let's move on. But by the way, has Hillary Clinton ever accepted the results of 2016? Has Al Gore ever accepted the 2000 results, right? But set that aside for a second. Honestly, to me, the big issue here is Tim Scott. Republicans, and I mean every Republican, whether you're Trump, whether you're the running mate, whether you're a senator or running for Congress, they're going to treat you this way. They're going to do the same thing. Will you accept the results? Will you accept the results? And yeah, listen, I think there was a little delay on the satellite, so that's why it seemed a little halting that Tim Scott, who's usually a pretty effective communicator on television, but he kept dancing around that. Listen, there's an easy answer to this. There's a really easy answer to this, Republicans, and I'm going to give you free media advice. This is free media training. So all you comms directors out there who are watching, share this with your guy, okay? This is what you do. The question is that, will you commit right now to accept the election results no matter who wins? And the answer is, listen, as long as the Democrats don't cheat again, I'll gladly accept them. That's it. Yes, I will accept the results, provided the Democrats don't cheat. You wouldn't have me accept results if I know that people cheated, right? As long as no one cheats, yeah, sure, you betcha. Oh, well, and then the conversation, then they're going to push back. They say, well, there's no evidence of any cheating, and then you can explain. And then you can explain everything about the mail-in ballots and about how signatures weren't accepted and how ballots were accepted without signatures. Ballots were accepted without dates. Ballots were accepted without verifying signatures. Ballots were left without any sort of chain of custody, and they just showed up and people started counting them. You can talk about how Pennsylvania changed their rules with regard to drop-off ballots and mail-in ballots during the pandemic without taking it through the state legislature, which is constitutionally mandated. And it was just decided by the Secretary of State, which is a government-appointed position, not an elected position. The governor, the Democrat, put that person in charge, and they just changed the rules midstream in Pennsylvania. You can talk about all of those things instead of playing on the field that they want you to play on the defensive. Put them on the defensive and make them defend what happened in the 2020 elections. Oh, and by the way, you could add this to it as well. Listen, as long as we don't have to upend every known ballot security measure that we have utilized for the last couple hundred years in this country under the guise of pandemic social distancing, when there was literally no reason to have social distancing, that we've now discovered. The 6-foot rule was made up and nobody knows where it came from. If we didn't have social distancing, everyone could have gone and voted in person, and you wouldn't have had to invent the drop boxes and all the ubiquitous mail-in ballots that were pushed to people instead of people actually requesting mail-in votes. So yeah, if we don't do any of that crap and Democrats don't cheat again, then yes, I'll accept the election results. That's how you answer that question. Excuse me, I got a little excited there. Can we go back to Maxine Waters? Maxine Waters. She's a loony bin. Watch what she has to say next.
Well,
yes.
No, yeah. I know you can keep going for this whole hour, Congresswoman, on that. But speaking of the Constitution, Trump says in that Time interview that he would not seek to overturn or ignore the Constitution's prohibition on a third term. So the American people believe that. Do you believe that?
No, absolutely not. As I said, you can't believe anything that Donald Trump has to say. Donald Trump will do any and everything that he can possibly get away with. He does not at all support the Constitution of the United States of America. This is a man who we better be careful about. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the Justice Department and I'm going to ask the president to tell us what they're going to do to protect this country against violence if he loses. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with, who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack. We need to know now, given that he's telling us that there's going to be violence if he loses. We need to know what his plan is and how we're going to be protected.
This woman is insane. I mean, honestly, the feverist of all fever dreams. What in God's name is she talking about?
I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with, who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack. We need to know now.
They're training up in the hills. I would think before a congresswoman, a duly elected senior member of the United States Congress, would make an allegation that there are Trump supporters training up in the hills to commit violent acts if Trump doesn't win the election. I would think that they would. Can you name us the hill you're talking about? Is there at least a region that you can narrow it down to? What the hell are you talking about, madam? She's insane. But strangely, she's also a complete hypocrite, because while she's making up and creating a fiction of people up in the hills training to inflict violence on innocent people should the election go the wrong way, just a few years ago, she was literally encouraging her own mob of people to intimidate and assault people from the Trump administration.
Let's stay the course. Let's make sure we show up wherever we have to show up. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
See, when you're a Democrat and you're a Marxist and you're on the left in this country, you don't need to hide in the hills for your insurrectionist training. You can be right there in the middle of a city street, and you can get on a very loud microphone and bellow into it, giving your marching orders to the angry mob. It's a beautiful thing when you're on the left in this country. And that woman, that ranting, insane woman, is now treated on MSNBC as some elder stateswoman, worthy of respect and contemplation for the jewels of wisdom that come out of her mouth. But the fact of the matter is, we have uncovered some video of some combat training that took place just last week in this country, not up in the hills anywhere. Well, I guess the hills of Westwood. It's a little hilly there in West Los Angeles on your way to Santa Monica. Yeah, in the compound of the encampment of pro-Hamas protesters, they were actually giving each other combat training, getting ready for the police, or who knows what they were getting ready for. But this is what happened. Somebody snuck into the encampment, and you'll see they get harassed because they didn't want this caught on video. So while Maxine Waters is finding her imaginary military-trained insurrectionists in some hill somewhere, this is literally happening in the city where she is a representative.
I guess we're going out the way we came in. At the same time, though, we are also covering our most vital organs.
Towards the entrance, where the entrance is at. Okay.
Batteries are actually over in the yellow tent behind you.
At your temples, your elbows will be tucked in at your wrists.
Yeah, right. Self-defense class.
You have some coverage.
Oh, I'm actually on my way out, so. I'm actually on my way out. What was that? Why not?
So to show that.
For no phone during self-defense training.
Oh, you touching my phone, bro?
I'm sorry.
No, you're not sorry, bro. You touched my phone, bro. Wait, you just touched my phone.
I told you, bro.
All right, no. He bro. I don't care. He touched my phone.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
He on his way out.
He on his way out. Apologizing now. You just touched my phone, bro. You shouldn't be doing that. That's self-defense, not assault class, bro. You got to learn the difference. You should have learned that in kindergarten. Come on now. My third grader kid knows how to keep her hands to herself. You should know that too, bro. You throwing up the rock. Oh, you like Jay-Z, huh? You throwing up the rock. Yeah. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to run over your toes. So that's self-defense school right there.
Where's the tea? Where's the tea? That's I want to keep this minimized.
Bro, touching me, bro. That's gonna be a problem. Bro, what is happening to this wheel?
Yep, they called it self-defense. It didn't look like self-defense, did it? All in a circle around their instructor, who did not look like a college student, under a giant Palestinian flag, showing them combat stances for hand-to-hand if necessary. That's what went on at UCLA. But meanwhile, Maxine Waters in Washington, D.C., very worried about all of the violent militants who are up in the hills somewhere training. And people wonder why our children are getting infiltrated and inculcated into these violent mobs with these horrific Marxist ideas. And Well, I can only tell you that this starts very, very young. Again, Maxine Waters' big concern is some imaginary militia training in the hills. Meanwhile, in St. Louis, a Girl Scout troop at an event this weekend teaching the kids to chant anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian chants.
My seagulls older than you. Na 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 boo boo. My seagulls older than you. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine.
The beginning of that chant was "My Cedo's older than you." That's grandfather, I guess, in Arabic. And the suggestion there is, we were here before you. This is our land. And then free, free Palestine. That's a 8-year-old girl who's being brainwashed in a Girl Scout troop at a Girl Scout event. Yeah, I don't need your Thin Mints and Do-si-dos, ladies. Next time they come knocking on my door, I'm going to tell them where they can put them. Now I know what you're saying. That's Maxine Waters. She's crazy. Maxine Waters doesn't really represent the mainstream of the Democrats in the House of Representatives. Maxine Waters is a Looney Tune. Larry, you're just grabbing from the low-hanging fruit. The Democrats in the House are way more reasonable than that. Okay, here's their leader, Hakeem Jeffries. This is Hakeem Jeffries' big message to voters at the end of his glowing 60 Minutes interview when confronted with the reality that the economy sucks.
But 2/3 of voters think the economy was better under President Trump.
Well, that's just not the case, and we have to do a better job of laying out the facts that the economy has dramatically improved under the leadership of President Joe Biden.
But if those are the facts, why don't voters believe it? Is that a communication problem?
Voters understand that more needs to be done, that there are challenges that remain.
But 2/3.
So let's get this straight. The economy is great, and if you think the economy sucks, it's your own fault. You're too stupid to recognize it. And then when Norah O'Donnell comes back and says, so they're just wrong, they aren't feeling as good as you want them to feel. Why is that? Oh, we have to do a better job. I don't know. Maybe it's me, but I think perhaps every single Democrat is a complete and total loser buffoon in the House of Representatives, from Hakeem Jeffries all the way down to Maxine Waters. And Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar is right there in between. Which brings us to the burning question of the day. Did Joe Biden, the President of the United States, the head of the executive branch of the United States federal government, the Commander-in-Chief of the United States military armed forces, and the leader of the free world, did Joe Biden poop his pants in front of everybody? As you know, we like to deliver the information and let you decide. So here's the video of Joe Biden on his way to Marine One on the south lawn of the White House. And well, just take a look. Now, I just want you to know that I have 4 children. Each one of my children were toddlers at one point in their lives, and they had to wear diapers as well as pull-ups at various times when they were toddlers. And if you're like me, if you have a child or a toddler, or had a child or a toddler at any point in your parenting career, you know that stance. Right there, the little mini squat with the legs parted and the feet planted, right there. You know, and you can tell, but you know that Jill knows exactly what's going on. Where he's, oh God, there he goes again. He's going to crap his pants. I'm just going to walk to the helicopter and yeah, I'm getting out of here. Now, I don't know and cannot prove that Joe Biden pooped his pants, but is it really outside the realm of possibility that Joe Biden pooped his pants? And it certainly looks like Joe Biden pooped his pants. In fact, I would say that the preponderance of evidence here suggests that Joe Biden did, in fact, poop his pants, and he's guilty until proven innocent. I mean, that's how we do things in this country now, right? And also, let's face it, there's kind of a track record for this sort of thing. You'll remember when Amy Tarkanian, who's a political commentator out of Las Vegas, she posted this when when Joe Biden was visiting the Vatican, October 30th, 2021. And it was a, simple message that she had heard from sources in Rome that Biden's meeting with the Pope was unusually long because Biden had a bathroom accident at the Vatican. Bathroom accident is in quotes. Now, I don't know if bathroom accident is in quotes because that's a direct quote from one of her sources, or if she's putting it in quotes as a show that it's a euphemism for the president pooping his pants, specifically the president pooping his pants in front of the Pope. I'm not sure. But either way, a bathroom accident at the Vatican, and it had to be addressed prior to him leaving. I know we joke often about this, but this is the actual rumor going around Rome right now. And it is a rumor. Again, in the same way, we don't know if Biden pooped his pants at the White House South Lawn over the weekend. And we won't know for sure ever, really, that Joe Biden pooped his pants in front of the Pope in Rome, because it is a rumor. There is a pattern of behavior that is now established, and I think that it's a palpable one too. The good thing about the Rome poop pants incident with the Pope by the president, as well as this recent one, is that it's creating really great memes for everybody to enjoy. Now, the one of that I've seen recently of the president on the South Lawn in that stance, can we see that again real fast? Because it is unmistakable what's going on there. Oh, there it is right there. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, the meme of that one that I've seen shows a vivid animation of something actually dropping from his pants, which of course is impossible. As you know, it would have slid down the side of his leg and out the cuff of his trousers, not right out of the back, unless he's got some sort of ventilated situation going. But when he was in Rome, the memes that were generated out of the president pooping his pants with the Pope were palpable and rather hilarious. I mean, here's one where Pope Francis says in, broken English, "Was that a fart?" And Joe Biden says, "Some of it." Now, this, of course, is funny because it's the Pope. And anytime you make a meme with the Pope, it's just funny. There's something funny about that. And this Pope kind of has a funny face, too. Also, he's a Marxist, so that adds to it. In fact, the memes during the president pooping his pants for the Pope were so ubiquitous that at one point on Twitter, "Poopy Pants Biden" was a trending hashtag. #1 political trending topic. And that was even before Elon Musk took over and cleaned up the joint. This was under the old regime. Poopy Pants Biden. There was way more than 40,000 tweets, by the way. It got so bad that PolitiFact had to do a fact check on it. See, one of the suggestions was an evidence supporting the fact that Joe Biden had, in fact, the president of the United States, pooped his pants in front of the Pope, was that it appeared he had changed his suits within half an hour of meeting the Pope. It's like, why would he have to change his suit within 30 minutes of meeting the Pope? Now, PolitiFact jumped on that one immediately. They're Johnny on the spot on the important things. That whole, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor lie. Yeah, it took him about 3 years to come around to that one. And the whole Russian collusion thing. Yeah. Now, I don't think they've ever actually PolitiFact that one out. But this one, did President Joe Biden have to change his suits? They claim no. Pants on fire, no. So there's that. But that didn't stop more memes from coming. In fact, here was Joe Biden returning from the Vatican, coming off of Marine One. Snopes also had to be Johnny on the spot. The actual Snopes headline on the president pooping his pants in the front of the Pope is, "Did Biden poop his pants in Rome?" Now, they missed a great opportunity for alliteration there, which I'm sure you've noticed I've been taking full advantage of, because the proper way to describe what happened is the president pooped his pants in front of the Pope. You got to get all the P's out, baby. So shame on Snopes. But they had to fact check this. Another president, another pants pooping rumor. Oh, yeah. They literally had to do a both sides thing on this and say, well, you know, there were rumors that Donald Trump pooped his pants too. I don't remember. Do you remember any rumors that Donald Trump pooped his pants? I mean, I'm sure there were some. Anyway, Snopes rated this false. Rated this false, that hashtag poopy pants Biden and hashtag poopgate that circulated on social media were in fact false. This is also one of the good memes there that sadly has been sullied with the Snopes false tag, but it's good. See, that's what the Pope would say if the president were sitting across from him after he pooped his pants. Yeah. Would you like one more meme? Okay, one more. Because it's completely believable that the president would poop his pants. And so he was asked about it. I mean, again, I just want to be clear. As Snopes and PolitiFact have instructed me, none of this is true. We're just having fun with it. But here's the best meme about the president pooping his pants.
Did you poop your diaper?
Yes, I did.
A little or a lot?
A lot.
Is there a crisis at the water station?
I thought that was a smooth edit. You know what? I'm not sure that's doctored. I know AI can do crazy things these days. But I tend to believe this one. Again, I'm allowed to. It's a free country. I'm not telling you to believe it. We report, you decide. Snopes and PolitiFact, I was responsible. I reported that they said it wasn't true. But I mean, right from the horse's mouth.
Did you poop your diaper?
Yes, I did.
A little or a lot?
A lot.
Is there a crisis at the water station?
I rest my case. I mean, once again, the video speaks for itself. The president pooped his pants. I'm going to die on that hill. He can't prove he didn't poop his pants, can he? It's just going to be one of those mysteries that will remain unsolved completely. Some will believe it, some will not. I know what side of the equation I'm on. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Come on back tomorrow. We'll be here, same time, same place. In the meantime, my name's Larry O'Connor, and the president pooped his pants.